Hello, friends. I'm Ryan Murray. It's great to have you with us. It's Pod and Long. You are looking live at a man who bleeds blue and red Zumbas. It's my co-host, Megastar Mark. Welcome.
Hey, Ryan. It's great to be here. It's great to be talking a little football with you. I do bleed red, white, and blue. I will be going through a table at some point during this podcast.
Will it be on fire?
Will it be on fire? You save that for later. You don't start
not
the
the
flaming
first.
tables. My God.
You work up
Absolutely.
to a flaming table podcast.
Do. I might do a bowling ball shot filled with liquor, air quotes, liquor, something. We don't really know what it is.
Liquid
I'll get a ketchup
acid?
ketchup and mustard bath. I'll throw a dildo on the field. It'll be great. It'll just be...
the Bills sure are fun.
Yes.
Bills sure are fun. I feel like we're going to get into Bill's stories as this podcast goes, right?
I got plenty.
How could you not? And alongside him and myself, he's throwing a lateral to himself for a touchdown. It's Greg, Greg 17.
Hey, that's also
What's
fun.
up?
Fuck
Hello.
you.
I don't think the Titans do any fun tailgating things, right?
I don't think so. I was going to say the cut your dick off if you go to the Super Bowl thing, but I didn't want to start with that. But then you threw in dildos, so why not?
Right. Yeah. Listen,
Greg, are you going to cut your dick off if the Titans win the Super Bowl? With Mike Vrabel, the two of you together, just a table and a choppy
me and
PPs.
I'm going to tell you what. I have it hurts me that Mike Vrabel is our coach because I hated him for so fucking long.
I hate him too.
And I don't necessarily like him as our coach either, other than the fact that he seems to be doing a halfway decent job.
Sure.
But it's weird when it comes to sports where sometimes I just hate the Patriots. I grew up that time where the Patriots were the villains. They're still kind of the villains, even though no one cares now.
Right.
But I just hated them so much. I knew every single player on their team and I hated them all equally. But then to have them come around, you're like, shit. If Tom Brady came to the Titans, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. It'd be a conundrum. Now,
That'd
aren't you
I hate Tom Brady.
You lived in Baltimore for a while, Greg, but weren't you a Red Sox fan or are a Red Sox fan?
Yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan.
Did you have trouble balancing that out or no? Just because you hated the Patriots so much.
Yes. So we're already on to baseball, so great job, squad. I love the O's, and I'm wearing an O's hat right now, even though it looks like an Oregon Ducks hat.
That's what I thought it was.
I thought that's what it was.
Big fan of Ontario Smith.
No, it's the 1901 O's. And I paid an ungodly amount for this hat because they don't make this hat anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, my rule of thumb was I love the O's, less the Sox are in town.
Okay.
And I still feel that way. If the O's and the Red Sox meet in the, AL championship, I'm a Red Sox fan. Literally any other opportunity, O's all the way, baby.
Awesome.
And this year that's working out great for me.
Yeah, coming on strong.
Red Sox don't know how to catch fly balls. O's are catching fire, baby.
So all you listeners, we tricked you. This is a baseball podcast. Tricked you, bitch. Let's talk about the
first
Royals.
Base and long.
Pod and
first base and long ball.
First base and
pod
long
for
ball.
4.
Perfect.
Above the Poddoza line. Anyway, I think we should talk briefly about our football fandom.
Sure.
We went into Greg's baseball fandom before we get deep into this.
That's what we call a loose segue right there.
You want to start? You want to start, Mark? What's your football fandom look like?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? I guess let's lay that out there.
Well, going back, I'm a diehard Bills fan. I used to live in Buffalo. I live 5 minutes from the stadium. I had season tickets, which was fantastic when you're over 18 or over 21. Excuse me. Yeah, over 21. Yeah, underage drinking is bad. But you could walk to the stadium and you didn't have to worry about driving. That was absolutely fantastic. I became a Bills fan though, and I became a Bills fan because of my mother. My mother is and always will be an insane Bills fan. She got me into it. One of my first memories ever. Okay, ever. Not football memory, not sports memory. One of my first memories ever is looking over at my mom while she's head in her hands crying on the couch because Scott Norwood missed a kick in the 1990 Super Bowl. And I looked at that and said, sign me up. Give me some of that fandom. That's what I'm interested in. So I'm long suffering for that. And now, thankfully, things have improved. But I've been with him every step of the way. I mean, I was all the way through the rest of the 90s, through the dearth the drought, the JP Lossman, the EJ Manuel, Kelly Holcomb era Buffalo Bills. And especially during that time, like you went to these games for the experience. You didn't go for the football. Football sucked. You went Dick Drawn era. Like that was horrible. You went because of all the shenanigans. And I feel like that's kind of like how Bills Mafia got to the point where they are at, because they didn't have an on the field product. So they had to make their own fun. And that's where, tipping over porta potties and doing all the crazy, heavy drinking and throwing dildos and shit came from, is because they just didn't have any product. But I enjoy it. I love going to games. Now gotten into more of the gambling aspect of it, which I really enjoy. I love over-unders. I love betting lines. I love prop bets. I love parlays.
You're going to love this
fantasy
this
football
episode, then.
I know we're going to have some fun. So that kind of covers it with me. Greg, what about you? Go over your fandom with us.
I was a Bills fan growing up. And then around age 13, I found video games and didn't care about football anymore.
Gotcha.
And then when I was 18, I met Mark and our friend Drew, and we were driving to Albany one day, and they said, Greg, who's your favorite football team? And I said, I don't care. And they said, nope, you got to pick one. And I said, okay, the Tennessee Titans. And I have been a Tennessee Titans fan ever since.
True.
Wow.
Yep.
That's how it started?
Here's the thing. I mean, you're into the Titans, my friend. I mean, I hope at one point, I don't think we should do it now, but we'll get to the Drew Bennett Greg story, which is my favorite story. I mean, one of my favorite football stories, one of my favorite stories about you, Greg, involves Drew Bennett.
There's a lot of good Greg stories too.
They're
you're a new listener or you're new to us, there's a lot of good Greg stories.
Yeah.
I find myself in peculiar situations.
Yes, you do. And they're always hysterical.
Yeah.
They're always hysterical.
And like when they asked me to pick it, because we met in 2002.
Yep.
So the Titans Rams had sort of just happened. It was the last time I remembered a football game. My parents, hyper Christians. So when the Rams and the Titans were in the Super Bowl, my parents, they rooted for Kurt Warner because he was a hyper Christian too.
Right.
I was a rebellious teenager. So it was like, well, who do you like? Whoever my parents don't. Tennessee Titans.
Let me
Kevin Dyson. That's who I like.
Jeff Fisher
of Kurt Warner is Kevin Dyson.
Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher. Give me that mustache.
Yeah, right.
And and like around that time, 2002-ish was when fantasy football really took off. Once people started migrating towards fantasy on websites, it exploded, and now everything revolves around fantasy football. But that was a perfect time for me to get back into it because, again, same thing, Mark and Drew and some other people, they started what became a pretty long running league for us. And it sort of bonded us all. Yep. And more than anything, football was just like a way for us to talk to each other and spend time together and stuff like that. And I've followed it almost ever since. I did fall off a few years ago. Without getting too far into it, I do have some issues with the NFL and the way it treats players and race and stuff like that.
Sure. They have their problems.
They have their problems, and a few years back they had a lot of problems. And I mean, just to be perfectly clear, I'm on the pro kneeling side of this. I'm not I know I'm not upset that Colin Kaepernick kneeled down. I'm upset that they didn't let him, or that they made a big fucking stink about it, or that he still didn't have a job. And that can't go unsaid. I don't mean to bring it down, but at the same time, like I do have issues with the NFL, and that is relevant.
I feel like we have to. There should be like a blanket statement.
Absolutely.
Before this starts, like they are not good people. Football is fun to watch. We're gonna go with the football is fun to watch, but we have to acknowledge the fact that there's a lot of bad people involved.
About people putting their lives and physical well-being on the line for essentially mounds of white people to ooh and awe at.
Right.
I have fundamental issues with that, but I'm going to ignore it because also football is fucking great.
Yeah,
it's a great sport and it's fun to talk about. And I love exactly what Mark's talking about. I love the culture of it, that things that can go on, like the idea of tailgating's fun, and the actual football games are a tremendous amount of fun. And just the camaraderie that you get from coming together for a Super Bowl or just any playoff game or anything like that. Like, I don't want it to all be dire, but because football is fucking awesome and I can't wait to talk about it.
Right.
But for a couple years now, last year was the first year I really truly got back into this. So I'm excited to talk now, but there were issues.
I think there's still issues, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think we should address a lot of that stuff, not just with race, but I think the people escaping any sort of they seem to be able to get away with a lot of different things that normal people couldn't get away with. And when we talk about each of these teams today over the course of 2 episodes, we're going to dive into some of that. And I think that has to be brought out front. I think that's the only way if we want the league to get better as an organization. And I know it's all about money. I understand that, but there can be a backlash that does cause change. Plenty of sports leagues have shown that over the years. So I think it is important to bring it out in the open and keep it out in the open while still enjoying the product.
I agree. Well said, both of you. My fandom is way back. It's like you said, your first memories. My first hero in life was Joe Montana.
Nice.
I was obsessed with this guy. My first Super Bowl I remember watching was the 89 49ers Broncos blowout, the 55-10.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. So you just pick that guy, the best guy, the most handsome guy. He's my favorite.
Sure.
Eventually he left, went to the Chiefs, followed him over to the Chiefs. Didn't care about the 49ers, followed him over to the Chiefs. Retired, didn't know what to do. So my aunt lives in Carolina. She sent me up a care package of cool Panthers gear and said, "Hey, we're getting a football team. It's pretty cool." And I said, "Perfect. I don't know anything about it. I don't have any stake. I'm picking them. I like these colors. I like this logo. Let's go. I'm doing this." And then in their second season, they made the NFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, right.
That's pretty amazing. So I was like, cool. Love these guys. I'm in. And then they were really bad for quite a while. Really bad. And then better again and really fun. In 2003, they made the Super Bowl, and really bad again. And then 2015 again. Yep. This is like, it's like every 10 years. They're like, oh, they're good again for 3 years and they're bad. So, always been since 95. Been totally in on the Panthers.
That's awesome.
I feel like the Panthers marketing was weaponized to attract
kids,
12-year-old kids.
Yeah.
In
That starter jacket.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
That starter jacket. I mean, it's
right.
Just alone
burned into my memory.
Yeah. If you didn't have that San Jose Sharks starter jacket, you had that Panthers starter
So
jacket.
you mentioned the Sharks. I was
San
also
Jose
thinking
Sharks.
Toronto Raptors of
Yeah.
the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
Same-
Or Charlotte Hornets.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets
Charlotte
stuff
Hornets.
was everywhere too.
Yeah.
Those expansion teams.
Yep.
Yeah. You gotta love
Hornets,
the teal,
the
man.
Hornets had like those beautiful pinstripe jerseys. Or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
are they called jerseys? What are they called in basketball?
Kits. No, sorry.
They also had like the beehive court. I always thought that was cool.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they have a different court.
What was it about that blue? Everyone loved that blue.
Yeah,
I love
right.
that teal blue.
It looks good though. Like the Panthers logo just kicks ass. Like even the old, like this, I think they updated it, right? This is the
It's
updated
like
one where it's neater now.
It's slightly updated, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty much the same. So
I
yeah,
love
that's it. That's
So during the expansion, Carolina and Jacksonville were the two expansion teams in 95. There were 3 other ones that had submitted expansion teams, 3 other cities that got declined. The NFL approved the Jaguars in Carolina and shut down the other 3. The other 3 were the Baltimore Bombers. This is before the Ravens moved there.
Wow.
Would have been a fighting plane motif thing. Then the other one, I'm trying to remember now. It was Baltimore Bombers, St. Louis Stallions. So this is before the Rams got there. So they were the Stallions. And then it was like the Memphis Mad Dogs. And it's mid 90s to the mid 90s, my friends. Like they have all the logos and uniforms that they did mock-ups for. And oh man, is it mid 90s?
I love it.
Carolina's a weird. Now I'm thinking about it. It's a weird place
pick
to put a football team.
Yeah.
I don't even know
Very
what
weird.
city they're in.
Charlotte.
Are they in Charlotte?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess that makes sense. But like, what's Charlotte? 200,000 people? 250,000 people?
I don't know.
I've always felt that if the NFL could do it again, they would not have put a team in Jacksonville. It was a market that was growing at the time, but has since stagnated in terms of population, in terms of media presence. So I think they kind of rolled the dice thinking this is going to be the next, U.S.
Once
metropolis.
Limp Bizkit came out of there, that people were like, all right, I think we're done with this whole Jacksonville experiment.
Man.
They honestly
John
should have
Otto
put it in
took me
San
to the
Antonio.
Matthews Bridge. I've seen it. I'm done.
Done. Let me try a little meth first before I leave Jacksonville. Hold on. Just a spot of
Holy
meth.
shit, Charlotte, 2.2 million people.
Wow.
That's a legit city.
There you go. NFL, they did the research.
Greg is straight up shook by this news.
Shook by how
Well,
many people live in Charlotte.
I think Baltimore's smaller than that.
Probably at this point.
All right.
Not when like the Colts were in there. I'm sure they were huge at that point.
We're going to start with the AFC, and we're going to do over-unders to preview the season.
Right.
And then we're going to come at you probably mostly every week. I don't know how our schedule is going to work exactly yet, but mostly every week. We'll nail down.
Maybe in the preseason, we slow it down a little bit, but once the season
we'll
kicks
nail
off,
down
I'm
our
for every week.
process.
Right.
Yeah, we'll nail down our process of when and how it comes out, but it should be weekly. These totals are from FanDuel.
Okay. A legitimate
Over-unders
gambling site.
And odds. I believe we have access to FanDuel, right? To bet now?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We
That's
can
what I
bet
use.
on there?
Yep.
That's what you use?
I'm
Okay.
on
Use
the
FanDuel.
other one.
DraftKings.
Hey,
Hey,
DraftKings.
sponsor
Do
us,
they
you
do-
guys. We
Yeah,
need
we do
sponsors on
wrestling
this thing.
things
This is,
I will do horrible things for money. So if you need me to do whatever you want, FanDuel or sports, or DraftKings, I'll do it. I don't care. I don't give a
Let's
shit.
do
I
it.
know- Yeah.
Why not? All right. AFC North. Let's
Okay.
jump right in with
Okay.
those Baltimore Ravens you just mentioned.
Those bombers. Sorry.
The over-under number is 9.5
Mm-hmm.
wins. 9.5 wins. Very tricky.
Yep.
Vegas is pretty good at this.
Of course.
They're very good at this.
Of course.
9.5 is pretty tricky for the Ravens.
Yep.
They didn't do very well last year. They had an injury to Lamar Jackson
Mm-hmm.
and basically didn't do like halfway through the season. I think he got hurt, and they were playing some whack quarterbacks.
Yeah. They had
So-
a lot of injuries, not just to Lamar Jackson. There was
Right.
defensive injuries, offensive line injuries. So they definitely got the short end of the stick on that one.
They also lost both of their running backs to start the season.
Yep.
J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both tore their ACLs
Oh my God.
in the same weekend, I think. So my number one question for this is the one big thing that happened to them in the offseason is they traded away their best wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
Hollywood Brown.
You're really making
This
the
is-
case here.
This is the right. This is the first of many times I'm going to say this wide receiver drama.
Yeah.
It was the summer of wide receivers getting traded or getting huge raises or
Getting
both.
paid. Yep.
And these guys don't have any name a Ravens wide receiver off the top of your head. Go ahead.
Duvernay or whatever his name is. I only
I'm
know him 'cause-
looking at their
Devin
depth chart right now.
Duvernay.
Yeah, I had him on my fantasy team.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
you-
I wouldn't know who any of these people were.
Yeah. Could
Like,
you
if
pick
they
any of these
popped up-
guys out of a lineup?
Name the other ones.
No.
I'm trying to remember here. off the top of my head.
Rashad Bateman,
Oh,
Who's
Devin-
hurt?
okay. Yeah.
James Prochet the
Yeah.
second,
Mhm.
Tylen Wallace, Jalen Moore, Benjamin Victor, any of these? Slade Bolden, Sherman
Oh,
Bridges.
Slade
sound
Bolden
like-
is the
They sound like
kid from-
fake WWE names.
Yeah.
They sound like
I think he's the kid from Alabama, isn't he? Slade Bolden.
he might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mark Andrews is still there. He can catch the ball.
Yep.
But that's about it.
That's who's going to catch him. You hope that those receivers, if you're a Ravens fan, you hope that those receivers are all young, that one of them shows up. Stranger things have happened. Guys
Mhm.
come out of nowhere all the time. It is weird, though, in an off season where you had so much receiving options out there, you didn't go with anything.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was not like Odell Beckham is still a free agent.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like crippled. He won't play till he'll get signed, but it won't be till like September. But he could go to the
Right.
Ravens. I mean, and then this conversation's moot.
Right.
As it stands right now, I'm going to go over.
No way. He made the case so hard. I was thinking about picking up my phone and making a bet. Like,
Let me tell you why.
Okay, let me
So-
just lay out. Yeah, go ahead. You lay
Yeah.
this out and then I will counter.
So the injuries that happened to Lamar Jackson, they could easily happen again. I understand that, but
Sure.
like there was so much bad luck that hit that team last year, and they were still kind of in it at the end. I don't think they were really eliminated till like the last 2 weeks of the season. They really pushed it together. We'll get into some of the other teams in the AFC North, but I think they have an opportunity here. Their defense is always good. Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. He always keeps his team going strong. He always gets the best out of these players. And when Lamar Jackson is playing, I'm say he plays 14 games, 13 games, what it was, he'll miss some because he just does. Those games though, if he's in it, the scrambling, the throwing ability, he is a one-man wrecking crew that you have to game plan around. I think Dobbins, he's young enough to come back. I liked him in college. It might be 10 wins, but I say over on this.
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you said. They have a great defense, great coach. Lamar Jackson is a weapon by himself. However, this guy has struggled to throw the ball. He struggled to throw the ball, especially in the playoffs when people are clamped down on his running. And now he's got nobody to throw the ball to. Nobody, as far as we know right now. And that scares me. So that's why I'm going under.
Okay.
Maybe not a ton under, but I'm going under just because I don't know who he's going to throw it to. And if he can't throw it and he has to run it all the time, the odds of getting hurt go way up. I feel like
that's a good point. That's a good point. It's with these running quarterbacks, it's good to have a balanced attack because otherwise you're going to cripple yourself. And one thing about Lamar, and I love Lamar. I do love Lamar. I feel that he's not. Like you look at these running quarterbacks, or even like traditional, these guys that are like the bigger running quarterbacks tend to kick around in the league a little bit longer because they can absorb the impact a little bit more. Lamar, by his own admission, is a little skinny. Like he talks about it all the time. He's a picky eater. He doesn't know, he doesn't put on weight as easy as some other guys, and sometimes that is a detriment. Like, yeah, I mean, it might add to your speed, but if you can't absorb hits, that's a problem.
Could be. Craig, do you have a decision here? You got a tiebreaker?
I'm gonna go under.
Okay.
I'm looking at their schedule,
and
there's a few kind of flex games. Like I don't know how good Arizona is going to be, but I think week 2 Arizona is definitely winning that matchup. Like if it was week 12, maybe not.
Right.
But they have very few games that I would consider like a easy win. Both New York teams, probably New Orleans, maybe Carolina. Sorry.
True.
Probably Jacksonville, and then another Atlanta. I legitimately only see them like winning 6 games here. The rest of the teams are strong. Again, depending on what your opinion of Cleveland is, which we'll get to.
Yeah, right.
I think Cleveland's probably a shit show, but so probably maybe they split it.
Right.
I'm in the 7 to 8 win category here.
Okay.
Before we go on to another team, what do we think about Lamar's contract? Do the Ravens offer him a deal, or do you think they wait?
I feel like they have to. I feel like part of the problem is he doesn't have an agent, right?
He represents himself.
He represents himself, so it's like, is he going to negotiate during the season or the preseason? Probably not, right? Because he's busy doing his job.
Yep.
So Lamar, when's he going to have time to do that?
If Lamar is listening, and he is, I volunteer. I'll be his agent. I'll be.
Okay.
I work real under the table. No, under the table. Like I'll take 70%. 70% of the signing bonus right off the bat, and that's it. Then you'll never hear from me again. Never hear from me again.
Then you can negotiate every deal from there on out.
Yeah, it's all signing bonus, by the way. That's what I'm negotiating.
Okay, moving on. Cincinnati Bengals, same number, 9.5 wins. They were in the Super Bowl. Improbable as hell, they were in the Super Bowl. They had the worst offensive line in the entire NFL, and they still made the Super Bowl, which is why it's very tricky, because they did a couple moves to make that line a little better, but did they make it enough better? I guess
they got
did they make
from New England. And I apologize to Bengals fans out there. I can't remember, but they made some very nice moves to bolster that offensive line, which was atrocious, which was
Collins
just
came in, right?
Hysterically
Yeah.
bad.
yeah. I mean, that Super
It
Bowl
was comically bad.
Oh my God. I mean, you might as well just put up saloon doors because they were just blowing by everybody you had. And thank God Joe Burrow didn't get killed in that game because he was taking hits.
Titans put in 9 sacks on him, I think, on that.
Yeah. I think the Rams
that
put up 9
wild
sacks.
card
Like,
game
the Rams
or
were close to that too.
divisional
Right.
game.
Yeah.
That game was very winnable for the Bengals. Very winnable. I mean, they were
the Super Bowl. Yeah.
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They were bulldozed in the first half a little bit, but like they could have won that. They didn't lose by that much.
They attacked the secondary of the Rams. I
Yeah.
think we'll get to it. I think Jalen Ramsey is very overrated, by the way. And I like the Rams, but I think he's overrated. So they were really attacking that with some of their speed, and they just could not keep up with it. The problem was Joe Burrow had 0 time to throw the ball. That last play where he could have won it, he had somebody open. Had he had like another second and a half,
sacked by
and he just
Donald.
got killed. Yeah, right. And
or
so
knocked over by Donald.
Yeah, right. So that was their biggest promise. That was their biggest problem. On paper, they have improved tremendously on that offensive line. I love the receiver. I mean, the receivers.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah, Jamarcus
T.
Chase.
Higgins.
T. Higgins. Great players. Joe Burrow's fantastic. He's going to be the face of the NFL in the next, couple of years, if not already amongst the top 5.
So you don't feel like this is a flash in the pan Super Bowl, because that has happened many, many times over the years, like random Super Bowl appearance and then they're gone forever. You think they're going to be in the mix?
Under.
No.
Okay. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. So Bengals the year prior, and I know the year prior had a dead last schedule. Okay. This year they have the 3rd hardest schedule in the NFL. Okay.
Yeah.
Those playoff games, while it's commendable that they won all of those games, every single one of those games they could have gotten crushed, or they could have lost, very easily, lost any of those games. They could have lost the last couple of games that they played in because they were so close. When it's close games like that, and you're not blowing anybody out, it's hard for me to say this is going to continue on to the next year. I think the Ravens are a better team. We'll talk about, like I said, we'll get to the other ones. I think they're playing against a much harder division. I think people they're not sneaking up on anybody this year. There's always a team that comes out of nowhere, and it's so hard to plan for that team, and they usually do well. But then the following year, even if they make the playoffs, maybe it's not as good. Maybe it's a couple of games less. I think people are going to know how to play the Bengals. They're going to see them coming. That harder schedule with Joe Burrow, the offensive line on paper is good, but offensive line needs time to gel. I think early on they're going to have some trouble. I don't know if they get over that. You said it was 9.5, right?
9.5. I'm
gonna say 9. I'm gonna say I think they're good. I think that in the future this team will be more of a perennial playoff appearance, but I think there is going to be a Super Bowl lag with these guys.
Yeah,
nice.
I think the Bengals are legit. Like, I think they're a very, very good team, and I think they only got better this year, which is saying something. But I also I think playing an extra 4 games longer is taxing. Their entire offseason was a month and a half shorter than most of the leagues. I don't think you can discount the fact that they legitimately might just not have enough time to recover from all those extra games. That like Super Bowl slump or whatever you want to call it, I think it's legit. And considering how young all of them are, I don't think they're used to it. The fact that half of these people are only 3-4 years removed from college, some even less. Like, they went from a 11 game season to a 21 game season. That's pretty legit. So while I think the Bengals are a very, very good football team, I do think the simple fact that they had to play so many extra games is going to take a toll on them. I think 10 wins. I mean, it's a 17 game season now. I think 10 wins is, I think they're an above average team. I think 10 wins is perfectly attainable, but I think it's real close. I think it's like 10, 11 games. So I would take the over. Very close. Again, it's like these Vegas guys know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's certainly a possibility that somebody in the AFC could win 10 games and not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
very possible. It's very possible.
AFC is strong,
way stronger than the AFC. I'm going over as well, and the reason why is as we go down this list, of the AFC North is I have suspicions about the Ravens. We don't know what the hell we're going to talk about the Browns in a second, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So by proxy, they could beat the crap out of those guys in the division and still finish with a nice record. If they beat up on everybody in the division twice in the season. So I'm going over. I think Jamar Chase is the real.
Oh, he's great.
The real deal. Like basically a modern Randy Moss almost.
Yeah, I think that's
Close.
A fair assessment.
So anytime you have that guy and he's got his head on straight, you're going to be looking good, and the line is better. So they didn't really lose a ton. Like most Super Bowl teams, I feel like lose a lot of guys, and they didn't really lose a ton. They kind of added guys. So I'm picking. I don't know if they're going to be back in the Super Bowl or even win a playoff game because of those things you guys talked about, but certainly I think they could win this division. I'm picking them to win this division. So I'm going.
Okay. The only other thing I want to add on to that is I worry about their secondary a little bit too, because Eli Apple was just toasted, in that Super Bowl. Yeah. They didn't really do much to get anybody else added to that secondary, and then Jesse Bates, all pro star back there, doesn't want anything to do with him right now. He's holding out. He doesn't want to play until he gets a better contract, which he deserves. But the Bengals are notoriously cheap. So it's one of those things. Cheap. Yeah, that's unfortunately, and I once again, I apologize to Bengals fans out there. That's kind of the stigma they've created for themselves, and their owner, Mike Brown, doesn't pay these players. That's why a lot of them have left over the years. Sure. So I don't, if that extends into the regular season, I don't think it will. I think he'll play begrudgingly, but even then, now you have that hanging over your head. So I don't know. I understand what you guys are saying. It'll be an interesting season for the Bengals one way or the other. I agree with you, Ryan. If they do make it, I don't think I think they're one and done.
Yeah. But a big part of the show going forward, and maybe in these 2 episodes, we'll see, is going to be the comedy aspect of the NFL and these players. And I feel like this is our first opportunity to dive into this because Mark, this is kind of your wheelhouse.
Yep.
You brought this up. You want to go into the weird background stories of the NFL. And I feel like the first opportunity here is place kicker, Evan McPherson.
Evan McPherson. What do you got on Evan McPherson? No.
What about how the fact that he spent the halftime of the Super Bowl watching Dr. Dre instead of being in the locker room?
That's even I forgot that. But there's so many wacky and weird stories that are going to be out there.
Yes, this is just NFL the start. Players. We're just scratching the surface here, but I love this guy, and I love that he blew off his own team's halftime speech to watch Dr. Dre and Eminem.
Which, by the way,
kicker. I mean, what's he
going to learn?
The coach going to do that's relevant to you?
100% true, but also I think it's hilarious that he just fuck it. I'm just going to stand here and watch Dr.
Your job
Dre.
Doesn't change. Yeah. You might as well go see a once in a lifetime performance.
I agree.
Which was good, by the way.
Oh, it was good.
Performance goes.
Yeah.
That worked for me.
I was totally on board. I like the Prince one slightly more, but this one was probably a top 2 or 3.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're moving on.
Like when people jerk off guitars.
Yeah.
Admit it.
That's my fetish. You've seen my website. Come on. Oh God.
Guitarjerkoff.com.
Oh God.
You just did it.
You guys.
You just did it.
I'm out.
I assume that's sorry, gotta go.
Yep. Sorry.
Just went from 6 to midnight. All right. Moving on to the depressing team of the entire NFL, the Cleveland Browns, who normally are depressing because they're shitty at football. But now they are embroiled in this mess of Deshaun Watson. Give me your quick Deshaun Watson overview.
Jeez.
We don't need to spend a ton of time on it. The guy's a fucking creep. So go. Give me your Deshaun Watson.
You got it.
One paragraph. This guy shouldn't be able to play.
I'll make this brief. I have some trepidation about the NFL being like the moral police.
Yeah.
Yes. You think?
This guy's a total fucking scumbag, and I totally agree with that. But at the same time, like, he has court proceedings and stuff like that. Like, let law take over this and then let the NFL figure it out after that. It's weird to me that they're like arbitrarily giving him 6 games. Like, I don't know. Where is the fucking line? Also, like, I wish they had a more clear representation of what suspensions are for what things. fact that some players are suspended for a whole fucking year for drugs and
Josh
and
Gordon,
this
the receiver, was suspended for like 300 games for smoking weed
or gambling on a game you aren't playing in.
Yeah, Calvin Ridley suspended for a year
$1,500 bet
for a whole
for
year.
making one bet, which I get.
I mean, this guy
you don't want to do that.
Allegedly assaulted 24 women.
At least 24. Yeah,
like
minimum,
and he gets 6 games. If you're going to be moral police, you have to be more aggressive.
Yep.
I would prefer they weren't, but if they have to be, they either need to fire him, like they need to say this is not something we welcome no matter what.
Yeah.
Or bare minimum, I don't know, 5 years or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like make it so that by the time he can come back, nobody wants him anyway.
Yeah.
The pitcher Trevor Bauer, he has the same kind of problem going on, but it's with 2 different people, not 24. That guy's out for 2 years. 2 years of baseball.
I'm a little weird on the Trevor Bauer thing because like
he
definitely did those things, but it seems to me to be pretty consensual.
That's another question. Yeah, this just the
Deshaun
Watson
got
stuff
suspended for 2 years because BDSM is ookie.
Right.
The only, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like whoever owns the Dodgers is like, I'm 75 and I haven't had those feelings in 30 years.
Dictionary or nothing.
Yeah. I think the Trevor Bauer thing's a little bit different because my very loose understanding is that most of that was consensual, however extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Deshaun Watson thing is
it's
bigger.
Different.
Yeah.
But that guy's out for, I'm just saying, that guy's
consensual.
out for, he's out for 2 years with questionable.
Right.
I mean, I think it's gross, but I don't know if he deserves 2 years. And this guy's getting 6 games. That's crazy.
Yeah, but the NFL is all about optics. Like this was all
but how is this a good optic?
Watch,
no.
Optics,
this is the worst.
We're not
at
done
this
yet.
point. At this point, Goodell punted it to the lawyer. The lawyer, I think, with the understanding that if the lawyer came back with a suspension, right? Say if the lawyer said 12 games, and there wasn't an uproar about that. People were like, "Well, he should have gotten 16, but we'll take 12," or it wasn't that big of a deal. Goodell probably would have said, "You know what? 12 is fine," and gone away with it. But because it was so low and there's so many people complaining, now Goodell can sweep in and say, you know what? That's not what I disagree with how light you're letting this man off. Let's appeal it. Let's find something better. He's going to come back with a full year.
The heroes here. Right. Don't you know that?
This is like, I think he was playing the game. He wanted to see how many people really hated it. Turns out everybody really did. So now he's the hero because Goodell in the NFL always has to look great. Especially when they're not, especially when they're really in the wrong with a lot of this.
So because of this, the Cleveland Browns are fucking idiots. Let's just put it out
desperate.
They're gross. Desperate. They're desperate. They signed this guy to the mega contract. Mm-hmm. They're paying him $1 million for this season so that if he gets fined, he doesn't get fined, which is just absolutely disgusting. Because of all this, we're going to move on to the odds, which are not available by Vegas. You cannot bet on the Browns right now. Because of all this mess, and they might have to play Jacoby Brissett for a year or maybe more.
Or Josh Rosen. We are one injury to Jacoby Brissett away from Josh Rosen showing up.
The chosen Rosen.
That's right.
So there's no odds here. What do you think is going to happen with this team? They're going to be okay? I mean, Jacoby Brissett. Throw Deshaun Watson in the trash. Let's say Jacoby Brissett plays all year. He's not horrible. He's not awful. He's not good, but he's not awful. That Colts team that he was the starter of, they won like 7 or 8 games, right? 6 games. They won a decent amount of games. He's not awful. And this team isn't completely awful. They have 2 good running backs, maybe, because Kareem Hunt wants to be traded.
Right. That's
today.
always good.
That came out today.
Nothing like locker room drama with this team. That's good.
Wants to be traded now all of a sudden. But they have Nick Chubb. They have Kareem Hunt. They have Amari Cooper. They have some other weapons, right?
Defense is good.
Defense isn't bad. They've got some stuff here. Can they win 6 games? Which, let's say Jacoby Brissett takes it all year. Can they win 6 games?
I can see them win 2 games.
Honestly, I think 6 is their ceiling. Yeah. I think people also forget Deshaun Watson was 4-12 the last time we saw this man. It's not like he was he was good and on a bad team. I understand
his stats are good.
Yeah, his stats are good, but also
he
very much lacked leadership with the Texans, and that was always a knock on him. So if leading a team the last time we saw him at 4-12, he hasn't played in a year and a half. Even if we do, and probably longer. I mean, I'm going to assume he's going to get suspended for at least half the season when all this is said and done, if not the full season.
Sure.
I don't see it on this team with all of these distractions going on. I don't think they have a good enough front office or coaching staff to pull the team together. I think the rest of the fans are going to be just brutal on the Browns whenever they go on the road. I don't see. I think 6 wins is generous.
Okay.
Who is the Browns coach?
Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah.
Who actually has done a decent job. I wouldn't say great, but decent.
Yeah. Well,
we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield later.
I would say, yeah, it's good to just ditch the guy you actually did pretty well with. So.
We'll talk about Baker Mayfield a lot later.
That's so stupid.
There's a lot more.
I mean, maybe Deshaun Watson is a tremendous quarterback. I really don't know. Stats say yes, but Baker Mayfield was not terrible.
No, he wasn't.
We'll get into him.
Cleveland loved him, right?
Yep. I guess his teammates didn't. That's I guess the issue there. But who knows? It's all hearsay. I don't know.
All right. So 6 games is the high water mark. We don't really need to make a bet here. I guess 5 games. I'll pick 5 games. Most bad NFL teams win like 5 games. So 5 games. What do you think, Greg?
I think 5 is a lot.
Yeah.
I think Pittsburgh's shit, right? So that should be 2 wins.
Okay. Pittsburgh's over under is 7.5 games. They no longer have Ben Roethlisberger. Yep. They no longer have Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep.
They now have Mitch Trubisky.
Check your watches, baby. It's Trubisky time.
They drafted Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh.
Baby hands.
With tiny hands Pickett.
Yep.
They have Najee Harris, who gets the ball. He's like Derrick Henry, but not as good. Gets the ball a lot and runs okay.
Yep.
Pat Freiermuth. I'm into him. Tight end, Pat Freiermuth. Who? How the fuck did this guy not go to Notre Dame?
Yeah, I know,
right? His name is Freiermuth.
Where did he go? I kind of assumed
like Iowa or something.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
I kind of assumed he was at Notre Dame.
How is he not a Notre Dame player?
Yeah,
come on. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson. Those guys are pretty good.
They added George Pickens too in the draft, who I really like. I think George Pickens be a very, very good player.
Is good.
Yep.
Their line is suspect always.
Always. Yeah.
Why?
Never since the mid 90s. Always.
They can't put together a fucking competent offensive line to save their lives, but they can draft a million receivers.
It's been a long time since Dermontti Dawson.
Yeah, I mean they have TJ Watt. They brought in Miles Jack.
Yep,
he's a nice ad. They have Minka Fitzpatrick, who
was a player.
They traded for him. Under.
Yeah.
All things saying under.
Yeah.
I think that's a sweep, probably. We all think under.
I think under. I think the quarterback situation, when it comes down to it, if you don't have even an above average quarterback, it's hard to do anything. Maybe Mitch surprises people, but I don't think Kenny Pickett. By the way, when Kenny Pickett got drafted, and one of the things the Steelers said about him is he knows the stadium because he played at Pitt. I'm like, just because the guy knows how to get there at a certain time to avoid
he knows
traffic.
How to drive there.
He should be
it's
your
not
quarterback.
Baseball.
Yeah, right.
They didn't bring they didn't bring right field in for Alfonso Soriano. It's all the same fucking size.
It was such a great line.
He knows where the offices are, so he'll never be late.
If any of you guys need to know where the bathroom is, I got you. It's right over there.
So he's weird. I'll take a little tangent on Kenny. I'm a Syracuse football fan, which is hard to do. Yeah. That's a hard.
If you put together an all-star team, all-time all-star team at Syracuse, you'd have a great team. They just never played together
over like a 35, 40 year span.
Keep going, sure. Jim Brown, go much further.
Yeah, right. Jim Brown, Larry Zonka. This guy kicked the living shit out of Syracuse. Kicked their ass every time. So I was thinking, oh, he's good. He beat the fuck out of this team, and his receivers and his team is not very good.
Yeah,
like he's great. And then the more and more and more you deep dive into Kenny Pickett, you're like, I don't know. I don't know about this. And he dropped from a top 5 pick to what, 20 something?
Yeah.
And
honestly, go ahead.
Right now he's 3rd on the depth chart, and Pittsburgh says he's not ready to play. But they drafted him, and the thing that they said about him was, we're excited because he's ready to play. What the fuck is happening?
I love Tomlin, by the way, but I mean, nobody does coach speak better than Mike Tomlin.
Right. He's great. He's great at that. He's a great coach. He'll coach him up and fire him up, and maybe they win 8 games, but I'll take that bet, I guess. I'll bet against Mike Tomlin here because wow.
Yeah.
This team has the potential to stink.
That people make fun of the hand situation, and it is kind of funny, but that is also really alarming how small those hands are. Like, especially in a mid-Atlantic, northeastern town where there's going to be a lot of snow, there's going to be a lot of wind. Like, that does come into play. I mean, the stats have shown that people with the larger hands tend to do better in those type of outdoor, windy, blustery environments. Had he been drafted at Atlanta or Indianapolis, like a dome team, maybe a different story. But I mean, I don't know. Like, he struggled in cold weather games at the University of Pittsburgh. Like, there's video to show he did. So to translate over and throw him into the NFL, if we see Kenny Pickett at all this year, there's a problem. There has been something there's been a catastrophe.
Something went wrong.
Yeah, it should not.
And we're gonna see him. We're gonna see him because Mitch is not gonna play the whole season.
Check your watch, man. Nickelodeon MVP or Nickelodeon valuable player. Him and SpongeBob.
I love that show, the Nickelodeon football show. It's awesome.
That's a great idea.
I show it to my kids all the time. I'm like, this is great.
Do they like it? They're
into it. Like the slime exploding and all that. It's fun. All right, that's the AFC North. That took a long time.
All right, rapid fire.
AFC South. We got a long way to go here.
Rapid fire. We're going quick. We're learning as we go.
That's right.
The Colts. Start with the Colts. Over under 9.5 games. Now they have Matt Ryan. This is 3 years in a row. We've gone from Phillip Rivers to what's his name? Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
Yeah, right.
Now to Matt Ryan. Take 3.
Yeah.
Colts, take 3. The rest of their roster is pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Ryan, get them past what the other 2 mediocre guys have done.
I think they can win 10 games.
Okay.
Like, I think Matt Ryan is an upgrade over what's his face, Carson Wentz.
I love that he's
Carson's listening with like a single tear running down his face right now.
Yeah. I watched a lot of those Colts games because I don't know why. Just because I had Jonathan Taylor on my football team.
Right. Yeah.
I watched a lot of those Colts games and they were all close.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And then without fail, Carson Wentz would find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah.
I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just like any time a clutch decision point was presented to him, he chose the wrong option. Like, he could have thrown it away and he got sacked. He could have thrown it to the open receiver and he threw it to the defense. It was awful and embarrassing.
I call that the Tony Romo quotient right there.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
that's the perfect comparison because Tony Romo was a great quarterback when nothing mattered.
That's right.
But the second there was an ounce of pressure, he didn't know what to do with himself.
Yep.
Right.
Carson Wentz is the same thing. Matt Ryan, he's old, yes, but he knows what to do.
Yep.
Okay. Mostly.
In a certain game, maybe he had some questionable decisions, but
yeah.
Which, by the way, I still hate the Falcons because of that game. Like, I have there's only like 1 or 2 teams I truly hate, and I'll disguise that hate for this podcast, but let it be known because of that. Ooh, Falcons don't sit well with me.
The Dorktown 5-part series on the Falcons is phenomenal.
Dorktown is awesome.
Okay, I gotta check that out.
Dorktown. There's a great episode of Dorktown on the longest quarterback run that doesn't make sense, and it's Dave Craig running for like a 78-yard touchdown, and it's amazing. The breakdown of it is like, why are we talking about Dave Craig?
And why did
45 minutes?
How did anyone allow him to run for 78 yards?
They break it down, but it's because of an excellently disguised quarterback like bootleg where nobody's paying attention, and he just there's nobody there, so he just
Oh my
runs
God.
for a touchdown. It's
Knowing Dave Craig, I'm
insane.
surprised he didn't try to lateral it at the 5 when
insane.
nobody was near him.
That's a 90s reference for you. All right, Colts, I'm going over because, I mean, they're too good.
Mhm.
There's too many good guys there, right? And Matt Ryan won't fuck it up.
Yep.
We think. Until the playoffs. Well,
Probably.
he will definitely fuck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see them going far in the playoffs, but
I don't think
definitely see
they're a
them
Super
making
Bowl
the playoffs.
contender, but maybe.
I think
He's
will
trying to
get,
Stafford himself here, maybe.
Yeah. I think they're going to get a lot of wins. I think I'm going to say the over.
Okay.
They have that's a perfect place for Matt Ryan. You could not throw him in an outdoor team with that arm at this age. Like it would really expose him. So going to a team that's very friendly, quarterback friendly. Frank Reich is a hell of a coach and really works well with quarterbacks who give a shit. So I think that's a great situation for him. I think I know the defense is great.
Sure.
They have a pretty easy schedule this year. I think over.
We all agree, right?
Yeah.
Is that a sweep? All right, we sweep that.
Yeah.
Greg, I'll give you the floor for the Tennessee Titans. They traded their best player, AJ Brown.
Well,
Best player,
second
Derrick
best
Henry.
player.
Other than Derrick
And also, he
Henry,
didn't.
yes.
I mean, what were his stats last year? They weren't groundbreaking. Did he even break 1,000 yards?
I don't know.
No, not sure, but he
The
is.
talent is there with him. I think that was the more thing. Is like
very,
physically
very good.
he should have.
This is our second
more.
time we're talking about wide receiver drama.
Yeah.
He just decided he wanted out.
Sure,
That
but
scares me.
when your quarterback can't throw more than 20 yards, it doesn't matter how much talent you have down the field.
Sure.
Like,
Scary.
I legitimately have no fucking clue. I don't know if we're swearing on this podcast yet or not. You can
Let's
you can
swear. We
bleep it
talked
if you
about
choose.
dildos in the first 1 minute.
Go for it.
1 minute in, we
That's
talked
just-
dildos.
That's just love, man. Love is love.
Right.
love is
fucking
love.
fuck
That's
it.
not swear word.
Just describing what happens at Bills games, man.
Love language.
I have no fucking clue how the Titans won so many games last year, especially with their only actually talented player out.
They were
for
the
most
number
of
one
it.
seed. I think
Yes,
people forget
it
that.
I mean,
were.
it's.
Derrick Henry.
I'm a bit of a hater because I legitimately think that the Titans are an unbelievably average team. Like, I don't get it at all. Decent defense, good coaching, great running back when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill, man.
Yeah.
How are we on what, year 4 of this? Come on.
They were in the
Please,
mix
no.
they were in the mix for Brady. You talked about Brady a second ago. They
Were they
wanted
really?
they tried to get Brady.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
tried to get Brady a
mean,
couple years ago.
I just have
They
to close
wanted
my
him.
eyes, I guess, right?
They wanted him. Even after they beat his ass in the playoffs, they wanted him. So I think that's all Vrabel probably, but didn't
I'm
happen.
sure.
All right,
Um,
so 9.5.
I don't know.
What you got?
9.5. I'm gonna say yes because of the division they're in. That's at least 4 easy wins.
Sure.
Maybe they split with the Colts. That's
I think
fine.
they do
light
split with the
division.
Colts. Yeah.
Very
right.
light division.
Yeah. I just don't see it. I like their wide receiver pickup, but apparently he has asthma so hard he can't football real good.
Can't even play. He can't even play.
So like maybe that's good.
Also, what was he
Conserving his breath.
This is also like a Mark segment, which you're gonna eventually steer for us, but as we get into the season. But didn't his actual like old college coach say like, yeah, he kind of sucks at the beginning, like he's out of shape, and like eventually he'll be good. It's like his old coach said that. He
He's
didn't even
not much of
cover
a
it up.
trier.
Yeah.
He didn't even cover it up for him. Like, yeah, he's great. He just got to work up to it. He's like, no, he sucks.
Yeah.
He sucks in the beginning, but he'll be
I think he
okay
can be
later.
good.
Oh God.
I think he will be good. They're getting it under control. Apparently, he's out there doing
Yeah.
good now.
Right.
But
I
it was
mean,
scary at the beginning.
The Jamar Chase thing from last year, you got to think about that too, because like everybody thought he sucked because he
Right.
dropped 3 passes in the preseason and he was amazing.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's probably going to be fine.
Who knows? But regardless, I don't think we're ever going to get there with Ryan Tannehill. I think what you saw in that playoff game against Cincinnati is exactly who the Titans are, and it will never change. Yes, Derrick Henry, it was his first game back after 13 weeks missing or whatever.
Right.
But when you're so one-dimensional, it doesn't matter how good that one talent is. Good teams are going to stop you. Bad teams will let Derrick Henry run wild on you. Good teams are going to find a way to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Titans are very easy to stop. We don't talk much about defense, like we haven't yet.
Sure.
But if we're just mainly focusing on the
Titans
offense,
have a very
Titans
good
don't have it.
defense.
Yeah,
Titans have
They
a
do
good
it. They have a
defense.
great defense, and that obviously that helps. But when you're scoring 15 points a game, who gives a fuck?
It's hard.
They're
It's hard
not.
to overcome.
They're not the 2000 Ravens. They're the I don't know, some other shittier team.
They're lesser than that. I
Yeah.
would say under. I'm going to go under. I know they can beat up on the Jaguars and the Texans, but I do not like Ryan Tannehill's prospects of throwing to not a good player.
It's an asthma guy.
He couldn't really throw anyway to AJ Brown. So how is he going to? I mean, this is a same Lamar Jackson argument for me, but he can't run like Lamar. So, and if Derrick Henry has any injury, these guys are in trouble, right?
Right. And that's what it boils down to me is Derrick Henry. If he plays this whole season, like he could, I mean, if he plays this whole season, I would say over. I'm going to say over. I'm going to go with over on this one because I think like some of the injuries he got were kind of like kind of just bad luck injuries, which happens. It's not like a degenerative thing other than his age. Obviously, just add another year to it, and running backs do tend to fall off a cliff at a certain age. I think he's still got another good solid year in him. Vrabel's a hell of a coach. I mean, he is. I think by the defense and running game, they're going to get 10 games right there. So I think the South sends two teams. I think it's going to be Colts and I think it's going to be Titans. I do think the Colts win the division, but I do think the Titans make it.
All right, moving on. Jaguars over 6.5. They had a very bad season last year. A historically bad season last year with what's his face is the coach who got fired. Urban Meyer, thanks. Urban Meyer decided to go get lap dances at his restaurant in the middle of the season
by
instead of coach his team.
Get like a 40-year-old mom, like Zach Wilson's in the corner eyeing her. Like,
yeah.
What are you doing?
Oh, baby, the MILF hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he likes. He likes
it was a mess. There's like a whole athletic story all about how much of a mess it was.
Yes. It's
so they had to hire
story.
A professional head coach in Doug Peterson, who won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, but didn't everybody kind of shit on him regardless?
They shit on him during the season as they were winning the Super Bowl so much that in the Super Bowl parade, I think the players were like, stop shitting on this guy. We won the Super Bowl.
Right. The commentators throughout the entire Super Bowl were always acted surprised when the Eagles did anything good. With a quarterback, with a coach like Doug Peterson, how are they doing this?
They buried that guy all year. And then he won the Super Bowl.
I didn't watch that Super Bowl because I couldn't bear the thought of seeing the Patriots win again.
Right.
Yes.
And it wasn't until the last 30 seconds, someone called me, was like, no, it's okay, Greg. It's safe. You can watch.
You can watch it.
This is how I watch Super Bowls.
Yep.
Because of the Seattle game.
Oh God, don't even get me started.
Because of the Seattle game, I won't watch. If the Buccaneers or any Patriot Brady anything, I won't watch until I know they're going to lose. I will not watch it. I did not watch it, and I still never watched a minute of the Falcons Patriots game. Not watched a minute of it. Didn't watch it at all, which is insane because I've watched basically every Super Bowl since 1989, very in depth.
I have unbridled. I talk about teams I dislike. I have unbridled hatred for Pete Carroll. Now, I hated Pete Carroll when it was cool, man. Because I hated him at USC when he completely sandbagged that team and abandoned all these kids when he realized sanctions were coming and jumped ship and left them to their own devices.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hate him. All right, Jaguars over under 6.5.
Under.
They're not that much better. Under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go under.
How much better are they?
I'm gonna
Trevor
go under.
Lawrence. I like that guy, but Christian Kirk, is he going to make a difference?
By the way, if you're a player and you're listening to this, you're coming into this league, hire whoever Christian Kirk has as his agent, because goddamn, that is some serious cash for a 15th round fantasy football receiver.
Yeah. My God, that guy better be good.
He's not.
All right. We're sweeping it under. Jacksonville is under. All right.
No chance they win more than 6 games.
Yeah, they're maybe they're on the right track.
A high number. Are they giving that because of Christian Kirk? I don't know why it's so high.
Lawrence
maybe with a professional coach. I mean, they're going to be better and they're going to try harder, but anyway,
they'll be what I call Jets competitive. So they'll still finish under 6, but they'll be in those games.
All right, Lawrence looked not great last.
No, he did not look good.
That team was awful.
He looked hapless.
Yeah,
is the only way I would describe it.
I will. We're going to talk about a team that I feel like their quarterback showed some promise at the end of the year. I did not see anything from Trevor.
he also had that like run against the Jets where he clearly was like, I am not going to sacrifice myself for this third win or whatever it was. So he like went out of bounds and they lost.
Yeah.
Yikes. All right, Houston Texans, they stink as well.
They're
over 4.5. Davis Mills.
Oof.
They
4.5 is real low though.
They keep treating us like we're idiots. I'm like, Davis Mills is great, guys. No, you're fucking tanking for the quarterback. You're tanking for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Or whoever it is.
The other one.
The number one quarterback. And Davis Mills is okay as a backup probably, but you're not really going into war with Davis Mills thinking you're going to make the playoffs. 4.5 wins.
This might be the least talented team I've seen in a long fucking time.
Really hard to lose that much.
I mean, we'll get to Seattle in a little while, but
yeah, I don't think they're gonna. Maybe they win 5 games. I don't think I can go under 4 games in the NFL.
Yeah,
like that's hard.
I just don't see how.
I don't see how Jaguars, these guys make say you beat the Jaguars at least once. Those odds go way down.
I think there's one there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking over just barely. Just barely over.
I love their call. I love Lovie Smith. He's fantastic. I think he got the short end of the stick. At prior jobs. I think he's a tremendous tremendous mind. That team, as Greg said, is just devoid of talent across the board, but they do know it, which is why they made the trade for Deshaun to try to replenish the cupboards. They're structured weird though. They have like a weird front office that constantly tries to get in the way of their coaches. I don't like that. 4.5 though, like I said, that is so low.
It's very low.
I don't know. I'm stuck here. Like I'm gonna say under, but like that's obscene. Like they might win 1 game, they might win 2 games. It's not unheard of. But it's a tough call to make in this when parity is such a thing.
They have a professional operation, I guess, with Lovie Smith, so they're gonna play hard for him. But like if your starting running back is Marlon Mack.
By the way, Davis Mills strikes me. Maybe it's because he also played for the Texans, but like I think at the best case scenario for him is a Matt Schaub-esque career.
Yeah.
Where he's like maybe starts a couple of seasons, probably better as a backup. Like he's not horrible. I think he can play. I just don't think he's I think you're totally right. They're just looking for Bryce Young. I think that's what they're going for. I think he fits perfect in that city, in that town. So pretty obvious.
I think so.
With all those draft picks too, like even if you don't get the number 1, which you probably will, you can package all of those picks up to number 1. So
there's nobody saying if you win 5 games, you're not getting number 1. You
could.
All right. Is that a sweep over?
Wow. Under. No, I'm way under.
I said under.
You're under? Oh, you're both under.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad. I think it's over.
There's no.
I don't think professional football teams are going to win. They're going to win at least 5 games.
No,
I feel like. No.
How many teams last year won 5 or less games? And there's no way to look it up. We'll look it up for next time.
Like 2 or 3.
I bet you it's more.
Maybe. I don't know. All right. You guys are under. I'm over. AFC East. Everybody loves the AFC East. Let's start with you, Mark.
All right.
The Buffalo Bills Mafia had an incredible season, cut short by Pat Mahomes having an incredible game. To ruin everything.
Man sure can pick a coin. So
they won the coin toss and then they threw a bomb to was it Tyreek Hill and then they won. It was the best football game of last year. Easy.
I was gonna say not that it's much consolation, but it was probably the greatest football game I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
It was amazing.
One of the best I've ever seen. Top 3.
I responded to it like a wrestling event. Like, I mean, I was literally jumping out of my seat at every 30 seconds. It was unbelievable.
It was incredible.
I was screaming.
Yeah. And I joke, by the way, about the whole, like, he picked the right coin toss. The Bills lost that game. Like the Bills should have defended within 13 seconds. They should have squibbed. There's a lot of things in
there should never
Monday morning quarterback that you can
to that moment
do. Right. It should never have gotten there, but so it's all in the Bills. I don't want people to think it's a coin toss thing. It's not. I am happy that changed the rules, but so we don't have that happen in the future. But,
for sure.
It was the Bills' fault.
Wait, did it change the rules? What's the new rule?
It's now both teams get a chance for if the other team gets a touchdown, the other team gets a chance too. So a touchdown doesn't end it anymore in the playoffs, only in the playoffs.
I don't like the way that the NFL does these rules changes. Like
it's all piecemeal.
It's
all
so
like,
annoying.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we screwed up last time, so let's change the rules. Oh, it didn't really work either. Crap. Okay. Like the pass interference thing.
Yeah.
Completely screwed up that one Saints game, and then they changed the rule, and then it sucked. Like, come on, guys. All right, Bills over 11.5. That's a very high number. The time is now. The time is now. Von Miller was
the bottom.
added.
The Bills are the best team in the NFL.
Von Miller was added to this defense. He was pretty good in that Super Bowl. That was a nice signing.
Yeah.
They have so much potential here.
Yep.
That's a very high number, though.
I'm gonna go over.
Very high.
I'm gonna go over.
Okay. I agree. All three of us are going over.
I know. It's like I'm a Bills fan, so it's hard to like defend this and not seem like a homer. But when I look at the schedule,
I don't think that's the wrong call, though. I think they're very good.
I think everything on this team is built to win it this year. I think Von Miller was their attempt to push them over the edge, to be the guy to get to Patrick Mahomes, so it doesn't have to get to that shootout at the end that they already have it won. Yeah,
we should say that their corner was out. Tre'Davious White.
He was out since Thanksgiving.
He was not playing in that game, so I think that was a big problem.
Yeah, I always bring this up, and God bless him. But the Bills, they were fortunate they didn't play a lot of offensive powerhouses after Tre'Davious went down. Levi Wallace was the guy who stepped in to replace Tre'Davious. And if you ever watching that Chiefs game, if you saw Tyreek Hill on one side of the screen, that Bills blurb on the totally other side trying to catch up to him, that was Levi Wallace. So like he tried really hard. He was an undrafted kid out of Alabama. Like you're not going to hang with Tyreek Hill doing that. So
that's going to be tough.
It's going to be tough. Tre'Davious is back. The Bills have a tremendous secondary. I love drafting Kaiir Elam in the first round. He's exactly what they needed to be another cornerback outside of Tre'Davious. They're deep. I'll give you a name to remember this year is Gregory Rousseau. He was their first round draft pick last year. He was a rookie. He had like 4 sacks, not great for a first rounder, but now Von Miller on the other side, people have to double team Von Miller. They're going to double team Ed Oliver. He's a freak. He's like 6'8". He's like I think he's going to be a real presence this year. O-line is deep. Receivers are deep. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I think the running backs are underrated. I think James Cook is going to be an excellent addition. Like I said, I know I'm before the season when I after all this was over, I said 13 wins. I feel like 13 wins is accurate for them. Yeah. I think they're going to lose to the Rams at the beginning of the season. I don't think they can beat the Rams in LA. I think they're going to lose to the Chiefs again in the regular season. I'm going to say they lose to the Packers, and I'm going to throw a bullshit loss in there somewhere. They're going to lose to like Miami or something by something stupid. So, but they are a very complete team. I think if they get the number 1 seed in the playoffs, they go right to the Super Bowl. I think that the Bills have only lost 1 game in Ralph Wilson Stadium since they've been there. They've only lost 1 playoff game. So, and that was against the Jaguars, like 98. Really weird. So if they get that home field advantage in Buffalo in January, and you get a team like the Colts having to go play them, a dome team having to go play that, they're gonna get their shit kicked in. So, over.
Over. 3 overs. All right, this is the most interesting team to me in the entire NFL, and I don't give a crap about the Miami Dolphins, but what they did and what has gone on here, Tua Tagovailoa, quarterback they've been trying to get draft for years. Even though he dropped to 10, they still get him because of the weird hip injury, right, in the draft.
Right.
Set everything up for him to succeed. He is not good. Does not play well. They decide they want to get rid of him at every turn,
at every opportunity.
Possible. They try to get rid of this guy. They can't.
They tried for Tom Brady. They lost the draft. They lost the first rounder because they tried for Tom Brady.
Every time you hear about them, it gets more interesting. They try to get Deshaun Watson. They can't get him. Tua knows all about this. Just like, okay, guys, I'm here. Remember me? Yeah. They try to get Brady for 4 years.
Yeah.
4 straight years. They try to get Brady, so much so that they tampered and lose draft picks and get their owner suspended. which is insane. We're going to talk about Brady and his part of this, I'm sure, when we get to the Bucs, but Yeah. So that guy who we all thought was amazing, because how many times I thought this was unbelievable. National championship, college football. Team is losing. They bring this guy in and he wins the national championship in his first ever appearance for the team by playing amazing and beating Georgia coming from behind. That has almost never happened in the history of football.
Yeah.
So this guy was supposed to be the best, and then he fractured his hip and really hasn't been any good since. So they are pumping every resource they can into this guy. They picked up Tyreek Hill. They traded for Tyreek Hill, which is a huge ad. They have a new coach who is the weirdest human being.
Oh, is he
for
ever?
a football coach I've ever seen? Mike McDaniel. Watch this guy's interviews. He's insane.
There's no way he's weirder than
Adam Gase.
Gase.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, he's not doing coke and press conferences, but he is a weird guy. He's a weird, nerdy guy. How is he going to lead men? I'm not totally sure. He was Kyle Shanahan's right-hand man.
How is he going to lead men?
He's a nerd boy. How's he going to lead men?
He's a little boy.
Look at him. Have you seen him?
He's just a child, Greg.
He's like, it'd be like if you, Greg, went and Mike Vrabel gets fired and they hire Greg to
Oh my God, that's the way they get to the Super Bowl. Yeah,
I mean, boy, I just looked this dude up.
Right?
I've only heard the name. I never looked at his picture.
Look at him.
I mean, he looks like he should be in a White Stripes cover band, not a coach of an NFL football team.
Right.
He definitely has a Yu-Gi-Oh collection he wants you to appraise, Greg.
He has the vibe of he could hang out with us. I mean, I like this
He's
guy.
only
I
a
think
year
he's fun.
older than me.
I know, it's crazy.
He's like a super football nerd guy.
Yeah.
We'll see if he can coach fucking 6'8".
Let me ask
Men.
you a question. So statistics has obliterated baseball.
Common sense.
Oh yeah.
Something for the better, something for
Right.
the worse. I mean, I like the idea that baseball is being solved in a way. Do you think statistics have the same home in football? Because my gut says no, because the sample size is too small.
Yeah. I think you could judge certain things,
Yeah.
but I mean, like there is like such a human factor in it because it is more of a team sport than baseball. And I think depending on the cohesion that you have with like a quarterback wide receiver dynamic, that sometimes eliminates percentages and statistics a little bit there. If guys get along well with each other, if an O-line gels early or they've been together for X amount of time, no matter what the statistics say, I think they'll perform better. So I think to a degree there probably is, but nowhere close to baseball, because you're right. Baseball's all stats now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you look at
careers are less than one baseball season.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent fighting in the dugout on that San Francisco Giants team, like that didn't affect their batting averages, but it would have in the NFL if a quarterback and receiver were fist fighting on the bench.
Fuck,
Like,
Ryan Leaf, like his own offensive line at one point decided not to block for him.
They won't block for him.
Right? Like, how do you? What statistic shows that Ryan Leaf's a dick? Like,
Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham didn't get along, so he didn't throw the ball to him or whatever the story was there. Like,
once again, because I think it's more of a team sport. You rely on the other guys a little bit more than you would in a baseball game.
It's hard to do that, but I think this Miami Dolphin team is fucking fascinating.
Yeah,
the over is 8.5. I feel like it's
some people think this team's real fucking good. I don't. Not that I'm an expert, but I don't see it.
Yeah,
I'm thinking they've got it with Tyreek Hill alone.
Yeah,
they've got to win 9 games. Maybe they don't make the playoffs, but they got to win more than 8.5. That's
Ryan. I'm with you, but I'm with you at like exactly 9, maybe 10, like 9-10 games. But I feel like a 9-10 game, but not making the playoffs. You know?
Yeah, that's possible.
Tua, here's my issue with Tua. First off, the offseason is hysterical because the Dolphins like Twitter account keeps posting videos of him throwing long bombs, but the thing's like fluttering all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's all these like low angle cuts where they don't show him like, throwing it at the guy's feet or something like that. So they're not doing him a great service here.
No.
Not every guy's going to throw it deep. If he's an accurate over the middle passer, show that shit. Like that's just as good. So I feel like they're trying to make him into a greater than. I have a problem with. So you look at the new coach, right? When was the last time you looked at the 49ers offense and you're like, you know what? Give me some of that. Give me that. That's what I want to emulate, is that high-powered 49ers offense. So,
I mean, I guess they get the job done in weird ways.
But sure, right?
I don't know.
I'm looking at Tua's game by game stats last year.
They're bad.
This dude's shit.
Yeah.
They're not good.
So like
He didn't play
has a
well last
couple
year.
games with like a quarterback rating above 100.
Yeah.
But they're all against the worst teams of all time.
Yeah.
And
You ever
against
watch-
any reasonable team against Buffalo's quarterback rating was 40. Against Tennessee, his quarterback rating was 53. So like any meaningful game, he was
That's
utter. I mean, I could have done better than him.
Yeah, no, Greg, that's what I was going to touch on. The 2 games, he had 2 very important games that he needed to win in these last 2 years. In his rookie year, all he had to do was beat the Bills' backups in the last game. The Bills rested their starters, and he got dismantled in that game. And it wasn't just like his defense was giving up a lot of points. He himself was horrible against backups. And then last year, he had to play against the Titans, right? That was their winning in. That was their if you get this, you're going to get in. And they just got it handed to them. Both good teams. But still, those are the games you have to show flashes in. Even if you don't win them, you have to show some competency. He didn't show it. I haven't seen it in him. I've seen it more in a guy we're going to talk about next than I did in Tua.
Yeah, Tua shit.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going way under. There's no way this team wins games.
Any games?
And
There's
0.
Over.
Greg takes a real hot take.
Over.
2.5. I'll take the under.
I just think
side note, I looked it up. There were 6 teams with 5 or less wins last year.
Okay.
That's a lot. Tyreek Hill is a big ad. Though.
Yeah, he's
I
great.
feel like that guy. You throw him like a 6-yard pass and he could score.
He is a great on the field player, trash,
bad off the field, but
trash human.
The most interesting thing I think I've seen him do is that Cowboys game. Do you remember this? This is before Mahomes even played.
No.
Where it was halftime with like 10 seconds to go, and Alex Smith was the quarterback and threw him like a screen pass, and he scored in prevent defense because that's how fast and shifty he is. Yeah. He scored against like 10 out of the 11 Cowboys defenders were on the goal line, and he still scored.
Wow.
And it's like, he's got to improve what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw this out there. I would say by the halfway point in the season, Teddy Bridgewater is the starting quarterback in Miami, not by injury.
Yeah.
He gets benched.
They pulled him out. Remember when Fitzpatrick was there? They yanked Tua after a couple of games. He's like, you know what? You're just not good enough. That kid, they've really done a great job at undermining him at every opportunity. Right.
He's a real Jabba Chamberlain kind of thing. As a Yankee fan, let me just fuck with this guy's head forever. Why isn't he good? You just
How could this with him. Surprise Pikachu face? How could this have happened?
Let's send him out there with all the bees.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm like a mega Teddy Bridgewater stan.
Yeah.
I think he's the best quarterback that's never gotten like a real legitimate
my
shot.
God.
Yeah.
Teddy.
I think it's like misfortune.
Bridge.
He's an awesome quarterback. Just every turn there's something fucking him.
Yeah, such a good dude too. He takes everything in stride. He just seems like a nice guy. Unfortunately, I think what was it? I think it was concussions, right? That's scary. That's to the point where you might want to rethink things because that ain't gonna get better.
But his stats last year in Denver were great.
Yeah, right.
I mean, great.
Yeah.
I mean, he passes the
Above
Orton
average.
line, but he's not insane.
All right, we're moving on.
Line.
I would say we should explain what
we should explain
Kyle
the
Orton
line.
line
I'm
is.
going to reference it a lot.
Yeah.
Kyle
Mark,
Orton
why don't
line.
you do it?
Yeah, so the Kyle Orton line. This was started amongst a group of our friends where we ranked the NFL quarterbacks, and this was at a time when Kyle Orton was playing. And Kyle Orton, there's a definitive line of quarterbacks where you don't want to replace them. These are your starters. These are your franchise players. And then there's the Kyle Orton line. And then every quarterback you rank below the Kyle Orton line is somebody you want to replace. Okay. So Kyle Orton was always the guardian of the line for the longest time. He was the exact average of if we can find somebody better, that's good. But I guess he's fine if this is what we're stuck with.
Right.
That's the Kyle Orton line.
I know this is again a little biased, but I feel like Ryan Tannehill is that right now.
He is the guardian of the Kyle Orton line.
Currently on the Kyle Orton line.
Yes. Could we do better? Yeah. Could we do worse? We probably should keep him if we're going to get anybody else.
He is right. He has taken that Kyle Orton spot.
Yeah.
I enjoy that Joe Flacco is not out, but I out of the league, but I enjoyed the Joe Flacco elite meter. Do you remember this?
Oh yeah.
Love it.
That's so good.
That's one of the.
He's
that's
not
one of those
elite.
things
He's
that sticks
elite.
with me forever.
Yeah.
The Joe Flacco elite meter was one of my favorites. All right, moving on. You guys are going under with the Dolphins.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go slightly.
Oh,
over.
you're going
I'm
over.
gonna-
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Mark
over.
and I am going over. Greg, you're under. New England Patriots 8.5. They got their butts kicked in that playoff game against the Bills, and it was a delight to watch. Delight. But Mac Jones, I
Love
think, is actually pretty good. And the running back is actually pretty good. And they're eventually going to make their way back into our fold, I think. I don't know if it's this year. What do you guys think?
Let me tell you about the Patriots.
Oh, God.
Okay.
How much time do we have?
I have a theory about the Patriots, by the way. All right, I'm gonna throw my theory out there into the interwebs. Okay. So last year, Belichick did a great job taking a Mac Jones team and getting them to the playoffs. Their defense was very good. He protected Mac Jones the best he could.
Yeah.
It didn't work out for him in the playoffs. But here's the thing. This is where I think there's a little bit of conspiracy here, okay? Because this was the perfect time for Belichick to ride off into the sunset. He could have said at this point, listen, everybody says I can't do it without Brady. I got this team. They're young. I brought them to the playoffs. They made the playoffs. It didn't work out. I'm going to give this to Josh McDaniels now. He's going to take over. He's going to get to the next level. I'm 70. I'm going to retire. I'll do something with the front office. But I proved that I can take this team without Brady and get them to the playoffs. And he didn't. And now he's stuck in this opportunity, in this situation where everybody else in the AFC East got significantly better in the offseason. Everybody got better except them. They lost players. Okay. So now he's got this challenge where he has to do better. I don't see him doing better than last year. I don't see them getting better than they were with the year prior. I think they're going to get worse. And now how does that look? Now you retire now when you go like 6-11? Like it's like he had an opportunity. He didn't do it. So I feel like something happened there. Something happened between him and McDaniel. He said like, you know what? I'm going to hang on for another year. McDaniel said, fuck that. And he just left. He went to Oakland or Vegas,
Yeah,
so I feel like there's a lot of like behind the scenes stuff going on in New England that we're not privy to right now, but maybe in a couple of years we'll hear about it, because like this to me was the logical end of Belichick, and it just nothing happened. Even he was just like, no, I'm coming back. I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. Huh? You're just coming back. Yeah.
What I will say, I don't think this team is particularly great. I think they're pretty average, but looking at their schedule, they have a very easy schedule depending on how you view some of these teams.
Yeah.
I looked it up. They're exactly in the middle. They have the 16th hardest schedule or 16th easiest schedule because they're right in the middle.
Right.
But I think a lot of these teams are worse than they were last year, or just tired. But like again, I don't know what to think of Arizona, so who knows?
Yeah,
but
right.
I think the schedule is very favorable to them. What was it? 8.5?
8.5. I'm going over because I don't think I'm ready to bet against Belichick. I would love to, but I don't think I'm ready to do that just yet.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
We'll go under.
All right. Moving on. New York Jets. The MILF Hunter.
Under. What number?
Zach
Under.
Wilson. The number is 5.5.
Oh, okay.
They had an incredible draft according to
Yes,
draft experts.
they did.
And
It was
they had
excellent.
three first-round picks.
I mean,
so-
when you have three, it's kind of easy. Like
It's kinda hard to fuck that up.
Statistically, you should get one of those, right?
Yeah, they've got some depth now.
Yep.
A little bit of depth.
Continuity. That's a big
I'm-
thing in the NFL.
yeah.
NFL, same offensive coordinator, same head
I'm
coach. Same
really
defensive
not
coordinator.
sure that Zach Wilson is any good. Really not sure.
This
have
is
no
the guy I
idea.
was telling you. I saw flashes of. I watched a lot of Jets games because I'm a Bills
Yeah.
fan, so I had they were always on, and we're in upstate New York, so we got Jets games all the time.
Always.
I watched him toward the end, and there was 100% a upward trajectory for his season.
I suspect Zach Wilson, if he has any talent at all, it's not going to be in New York. It'll be wherever he lands next.
Okay, I could see that.
Mm.
New York's just not a winning franchise. And I know that's like one of those like gut things that idiots say, but it's a simple fact. New York cannot win football games. This team is young.
Yep.
The Jets. So like if they're going to find some sort of synergy and cohesion, like this is kind of it, right? Like
Yeah.
they're all going to grow up together.
It's the way to do it.
Similar to the Bengals. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, like exactly like that.
Yep.
Who knows? They could come out of nowhere and this is definitely a wild card. The Jets could be good.
I
They aren't, but they could.
I just hope that they stick with the current staff and don't panic.
Right.
Like Zach Wilson should get another year. He should 100, even if he completely bombs this year, which I don't think he will. But if he does, you need to give him that third year. Don't jets it up. Don't immediately panic and decide you need another quarterback. Like, you got to give him another year. You got to give Salah and his group another year. Like, all of this needs to continue if you want any chance for sustained success.
All right. So where does that leave us?
Looks pretty good too.
What's that?
This running back they drafted?
Oh yeah, Breece Hall. Yeah, he's very good.
So where does that leave us on 5.5 over under?
I know I was making jokes. Maybe they get to 6.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to be substantially over, but I think they will be over on that.
I'm going to go under. I'm not a believer. Maybe they make strides, but I don't know if they're there yet.
Okay. You should record these so we can reflect back at the end of the year.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll go back and we can go back over it when we get to the end. All right, AFC West is our last division that we have to go
Holy
over.
shit, we are going so slow. Rapid fire did not go well for us.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't. I think we're gonna have to make a plan here. AFC West, Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
Over under 10.5.
This division has so much talent.
Oh my God, it's loaded. It's absolutely loaded.
Is it impossible for all 4 teams in the division make the playoffs?
No, they can make it.
I mean, like, statistically, I didn't know if because they play each other enough, if there was like,
I think it would be difficult,
chance.
but it's possible.
Right.
Kansas City's 10.5. They don't have Tyreek Hill anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They picked up Juju Smith-Schuster. They also added Sky Moore in the draft.
I like Sky Moore.
He pretty good, shifty guy. I don't think he's Tyreek Hill, but he's good.
Yeah.
Where are we at on it? I mean, still have Pat Mahomes, so no matter what, they still have Pat
great.
Mahomes.
Yeah, right.
They're still going to win a lot of. Although they lost a ton of talent on their defense.
Yep.
They lost like their entire secondary, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they lost Tyrone Matthew. He's gone. He's not there.
Yeah.
And I think once again, people, those voices in the locker room really help you. And you might think like, well, his talent dropped off over the last couple of years, and I think it did. But at the same time, like, he was still a very effective starter, and to lose his passion and very much leadership skills, I think that's an underrated storyline going into the season that not a lot of people are talking about. I think they replace Tyreek. It might take 1 or 2 players, but like, Andy Reid's very creative. They have good talent on there. I'm not a huge Smith-Schuster fan. I think he's kind of an idiot, but like, I respect the on-field talent. I really like Sky Moore, as I just mentioned. They're running backs. They always use them very intelligently, very smart. Orlando Brown is back for their O-line, so that's in good shape. I say over, and I think I'm not going to say another division because I think there's another team here that I think takes it, but close.
I agree. Over.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't think that. I mean, their secondary stakes, but they could certainly. They may not make the Super Bowl, but they're going to be there in the mix. Their defense is rough.
Can I get this team to play in Buffalo? That's all I want. They played fucking Kansas City and Buffalo played the last 4 years. It's always in Kansas City. How statistically does that happen? I thought like they have to trade off or something. Like, they're always playing in Kansas City. And this year, they're playing in Kansas City in the regular season. Get your ass to Buffalo, man. I know that's what I want to see. I want to see dildos galore raining down on Mahomes. All different types of dildos.
Make it rain.
One of my
on
all-time
Mahomes.
favorite recent quotes in the NFL was when they asked Andy Reid to do what Patrick Mahomes sounded like, and he referred to him as Kermit-like.
Yes. Kermit.
That's a good one. I
like
like Andy Reid.
Yeah, I do too. They had him break through the wall. The one time they put up like a fake brick wall and had him break through it like the Kool-Aid Man, because people always refer to him because he's wearing the red shirt, and he did it so like lackadaisically. He just like walked through it and then went off to go do something else. It was real funny.
My favorite Andy Reid thing is him as a kid in the punt, pass, and kick competition, where the giant body as a child over
6 foot,
towering over everybody else, wearing the full uniform. That's the best.
Dude just enjoys what he's doing.
He's a good fucking coach.
Yeah, he's great.
He's good. I'm glad he finally won one because what did he lose? Like 5 NFC
Yeah.
championship games in a row or something?
Well, with the
God.
Eagles, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Or he lost 4, and then like the 5th
Four.
time he made it to the Super Bowl and still lost.
And still lost.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
oh my God.
Sometimes,
All
but
right.
you know what though? All you need is one.
All he needs one. He's got it.
Yep.
All right, Denver Broncos. This team had a lot of fantasy stock in the Denver Broncos last year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
and
Yep.
they have a lot of pieces there, but their quarterbacks were a little weird. Even though you like Teddy Bridgewater, their quarterbacks were a little odd. Now they have Russell Wilson, and now they're over under 10.5 wins.
Ooh, that's a tough one though.
It's very hard. It is very hard.
I'm gonna say under. Only because it's tough to have a quarterback be brought into a new situation and be immediately dominant, especially in that division, which is so strong. I feel like they're just gonna like crab bucket each other. Like all those teams are just gonna like drag each other down.
Right.
And it's just gonna
Yes.
they're gonna be so. When I was growing up in like the mid '90s, I always thought of the NFC East was very much like that, where they just spend the entire season just beating the shit out of each other, and then when the playoffs roll around, they're just beat up and they get like crushed by a team from the NFC West or something. So I kind of envision that with them. They're just gonna be put through so much. I love Russell Wilson. I think he's a great quarterback. I think the offense is going to be much better. I think the biggest problem for them is everybody else got better too. I think that's their biggest flaw, which isn't a flaw for them. I mean, it's the way it is.
Yeah,
What do you think?
100% what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, I think this team got better. I think they have a tremendous amount of talent. I think they could leave this division 0-6 or 6-0.
Right.
It depends on how it could go either way.
Yep.
So I think it's what's going to wind up happening is I think they're going to split with most of these teams. This division is so talented.
Oh my God.
The Raiders are the worst team in the division, and even they're pretty legit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say Russ is coming off an injury, right?
Yep.
He just lost Tim Patrick, who was potentially going to be his best receiver. Jerry Jeudy's kind of an idiot. They traded Noah Fant in the trade, so the guy doesn't have a tight end to throw to. He's got 2 good running backs and an okay defense, but this division is tough. And this guy's basically had the best situation in Seattle, not entirely because they wanted to run the ball a lot, but a lot of very good things for him in Seattle, and he's not going to have these things here in Denver. And I do believe, as stupid as Seattle is, as stupid as Pete Carroll is, that they have seen something in this guy's play where, like, we'll live with it. We'll live with this guy getting out of here. So I'm going under. Something is going to happen here. I do not see this being like a Peyton Manning Bronco thing. Even though he has the weapons to potentially do it, I just think there's too many question marks, at least for year one. And the guy's health he's not a big guy. He's got the potential to get his ass kicked in the pocket. So I'm going to say under on Denver. Might be a small under, but I'm saying under.
I would say under as well, but just because it's a tough division.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Put them in an NFC team, and they're like the second seed or in any NFC division, you know?
Right. Exactly. All right. The Chargers, their over under is 10 games. They had a very odd season last year where they seemed to be very, very good, like an upper echelon playoff team, and then they didn't make the playoffs.
Well, I think a lot of that was their coach. I think he made some, and that going back to the Dolphins, the idea that's a first time NFL head coach. Not like he was. I mean, that's a tough job to try to balance out like time management and things. Those are the things that like even if you're offensively skilled, like obviously this Chargers head coach. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name.
Staley, I think is his last name.
Very, very talented, very smart man. He just couldn't get like a lot of the flow of the game. He couldn't manage time very well. He those are the things that messed him up. And I feel like you're going to see that similar in Miami. I would hope that as another year goes by, he has learned to effectively be a head coach a little bit better. That last game where they were playing the Raiders, that was I love that game. That was fantastic. That was the one where all they had to do was just tie and they both would have made it. And the Raiders pretty much gave them the sign that, just go ahead. We're just going to kneel and we'll both tie and we'll both go. and the Chargers like didn't believe them. It was like the weirdest thing. Like
So weird.
the Chargers like, you're trying to psych us out, aren't you? And they started like bombing it deep. And the Raiders like, well, if you're gonna do that, we're just gonna score. And they just did. And they knocked them out of the playoffs.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just beat you.
Right. I guess we'll just beat you now. Like he was just giving them an opportunity just to like get in. And you're like, no, I don't want that, man. So that because of that, I would hope that he has learned from those type of situations, like how to be a coach. Because I adore this Chargers. I love the offense. I love the defense. They added Khalil Mack. I mean, like there is this team, and this team was already loaded on defense.
Sure,
you add a guy like Khalil Mack on your defense who's going to also help your locker room out. Your receivers are great. Your quarterback is fantastic. You know. I would say, you know, a second seed for them is not out of the realm. I could see a first seed for them not being out of the realm of possibility. I would say over.
Yeah.
What was the number again?
10. Right on the money, Vegas.
So good.
We didn't even talk about Asante Samuel Jr., who they drafted last year and is already like one of the best cornerbacks in the entire NFL. In the second year.
Under. For the same reason I went with Denver. I think it's going to somehow that division's going to look mediocre despite all the talent.
They're going to cannibalize themselves, man. I think that's a very real possibility.
100%. All right.
And every game is going to be a combined score of over 100 because that's just the AFC.
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. That's for sure. All right. Vegas, Las Vegas Raiders over under 8. They added Devontae Adams, the best receiver in the entire NFL. Pairing him with his college quarterback.
Yep. Which is great.
Oh, that's fun.
You don't have to worry about the guys not knowing each other. That's could be pretty seamless.
I feel like that's going to be a good connection. I don't know.
Yep.
I just don't know. This team has been through a lot. I mean, they had a racist head coach. He got fired in the middle of the season. He was supposed to be the savior. He had a 10-year, $100 million contract. They had a new city, a new stadium, all this stuff. And they still were battling for the playoffs, right? And they still made it.
Yeah.
So, like, and now they've got this guy. Now they got Devontae Adams. So that's a tough one. 8 wins, over under 8 wins. That's really right on the bar there. I feel like 8 is exact.
Yeah,
for me. But what do you think?
I'm gonna go over. But like once again, kind of like 9 and like 9 10 wins over, kind of for what Greg was saying, where the division is so good. But I like the offense. I think Carr is underrated. I actually think he's a pretty damn good quarterback. He seems to be a very good leader. The guys love him there. The O-line's good, D's good. So they added. I mean, it just Chandler Jones is with them now. He's been a monster in Arizona.
Big pickup.
Huge pickup. So the reason I don't think they're going to progress too deep in the playoffs is I think Josh McDaniels is an idiot. We've seen him before as a head coach, and maybe like we were talking about earlier, maybe he learned. But the last time I saw him, he was one of the dumbest head coaches I'd ever seen. So that might hold them back, but I still think they make the play. I think they'll be over. I think they'll be over 8 wins.
I mean, this guy, the Colts thing alone, makes me think this guy is the biggest idiot ever.
Yeah.
Like I accept the Colts job, and then oops, never mind. I do not accept the Colts job. I'm going to do a Belichick to you to stay Belichick's buddy.
But that's my conspiracy theory. Like, why did he do that if he wasn't promised the head coaching job
I think he was
very shortly? And I think he was, and Belichick went back on it.
I think he was, and Belichick changed his mind. But
right, because that's a Belichick thing to do.
Still, like, you give your word to a company saying you're going to go work there.
Yeah, I know.
And then you just don't and go back to your old worst job.
I just want to see like Belichick talk to McDaniels like, "Fuck your life. This is mine."
Gotcha.
Fuck you. Fuck your family. Fuck everything about you. It's all about me.
All right. I have a slight over as well. I have a slight over.
I'm with you.
Slight over. All right. That completes the AFC.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah. Yay. That was fun. That was very fun.
Maybe that was fun.
Yeah.
But maybe we got to come back for the other side.
I think we do.
I was 100%.
Which the listeners aren't going to be able to tell a difference.
No, they won't.
Right.
Because we were already going to split this into 2 weeks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So perfect.
Yeah.
We still have one in the can. We got one. We got our first.
We got one down. We got one more to go.
Yeah. Right.
There was a lot to talk about there. Wow.
Yeah. Right.
That was That was a lot. All right. We're going to finish this thing up. You can find us at Pod and Long on Twitter.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can find us on there. You can interact with us. We should talk fantasy when we get our fantasy teams drafted,
Yeah,
right?
of
Are you guys
course.
playing fantasy?
Yeah, we're in the same league.
Yeah.
All
Mark
right,
and I
all
are
right.
in this very stupid and
Oh.
intense league.
Yeah.
Why is
I
it
can't.
stupid?
So here's the deal with this league. It's a relatively cool league.
Yeah.
It's a dynasty league.
Oh,
It's a salary cap league. It's like basically everything, you know?
yeah.
So it's super complex. But here's the thing. I came into it after it had already existed for about 15 years.
Wow.
And everybody in the league had backstabbed each other so much that there are now like 1,000 very specific, very stupid rules about how things work.
Wow.
It's like you can only pick up players on these days, and you can only do it in this way, and you have to email this person by this time at exactly this time, and then that person will email this person, and then that person will put it out to the league what happened, and then the third person will update the rosters by Friday. And that's fucking everything in it.
Yeah.
It's cool, but it's unbelievably complicated.
Yeah.
And this is Mark's first year in it.
Yeah. I'm replacing somebody who you want to talk about nosediving a team that I have to rebuild.
Oh,
Right.
no.
Holy shit.
And that's part of it. Like when every new player who comes in has to take over an old team.
Yeah.
Right.
And obviously, if that person has left, it's because they were doing so shit
Yeah.
that they were willing to leave their team.
Wow.
It's pretty bad. I feel like I can work with what I got though. I have a plan. We'll see how it goes. But I'm excited to talk about it on the air. I think it'll be fun.
So Mark and I are in a league. It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. You can follow along with us. Do we want to do any plugs? You can find us on our other show.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk
Right,
about the other
baby.
show.
You can find us on our other show, which is completely different, and the audiences would probably never cross over. Pod TGIF podcast, where we talk about Steve Urkel a lot.
Yep.
And Frank and Carol from Step by Step. And our next episode will be about weddings.
Oh yeah.
It'll be really fun because we're gonna torture ourselves with the 2-part Full House wedding episode.
Listen, we all knew it was coming though, so like we'll be okay with that. But there's got to be there's got to be TGIF episodes that have to do with football. I'm sure we could do an episode, a crossover episode.
Oh, there must be. There is
crossover?
literally
Find
no
something.
chance that Frank didn't meet the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, right. Exactly. If
There's
not, we'll just do a whole episode about Coach. We've already talked about it.
Sure, right. We got the Coach cast coming up soon.
Dauber
Yeah.
pod.
That's a deep cut from the other show. So, all right, that's it. We're gonna come back with the NFC next week, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.